Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about ripening off your tomatoes. You know, August is the heart of tomato season, and we've been enjoying ours so much, and I know a lot of you have as well, but we still have a lot of them on the vine that are still pretty green. So I'm going to show you what I like to do to get them to ripen quicker. I'm also going to show you a really quick and easy, delicious recipe that I like to do with our tomatoes. And so let's go ahead and harvest them first, and then I will show you guys what I like to do to get them to ripen quicker. So here we go. Okay, so I know the light is a little bit harsh, but let me try to show you guys what I like to do. So we are at the end of August, which means any new flowers that are blooming right now, they're not gonna have enough time to produce fruit. So I'm going to chop those off. Secondly, I'm going to remove any lower leaves that are kind of towards the bottom, just because a lot of those are spent. They're not really getting a lot of sunlight, so they're not really doing your plant any good. So I always like to keep my plants pretty airy if I can. Like right now, this is even a little bit too clustered for me. I like it a lot more open and airy. I like a lot of airflow, and that allows sun to come in as well. So like at this branch here, there's a lot of really small little tomatoes, and I know those are not going to bloom in time. So I am going to go ahead and cut them off. So there is a green one right over here, but I think this one will ripen off. Now there's a cluster over here that, again, it's trying to develop new tomatoes, and I know for sure those are not going to ripen in time. And oops, I just cut a green one, my bad. Well, we'll see if we can get that to ripen inside. But I also like to remove a lot, like any clusters of leaves that is just really covering the tomatoes. Again, I just want it to stay nice and open. So let's see, right over here, I'm gonna cut this little cluster off. And this is a really good time to do it. You know, I think if you have a lot of tomatoes that are taking a long time to ripen, this could be the issue. Now this whole branch over here, this whole branch doesn't have any tomatoes on it. So I am going to cut this whole thing off just like that. So you see, I cut that whole thing off because we don't need it. Again, I am just cleaning up our plant, and I will leave just a few sets of leaves. But everything else I cut off. So do you see what a big difference that is from before? And I just leave it this way. That way all of the green tomatoes that we have on here is going to be exposed to the sun, and more energy can go into ripening these versus trying to produce new tomatoes that we know are not going to bloom in time for this season. Don't be afraid to do it. You know, it's such a good time to, like I said, it's such a good time to do this process. If you're afraid, then just try with one plant and see how that does for a week. And if you feel comfortable, then go ahead and do it to the other ones. But again, you see, we have so many in here that are they're just taking a little time to ripen. So this whole like branch here can come right off just like that. So again, here's another one that really doesn't have anything going on in the top. So what I'm going to do is just cut a big chunk of this off, because I know none of these little baby tomatoes that are on here, they're going to ripen for us this season. So I do it just like that, and I'm gonna continue doing it to the rest of all of our plants. Now with our cherry tomatoes, there are quite a few green ones over here, but if I leave it, it's going to continue to try to produce more flowers. So what I like to do is I'll just find the last cluster of flowers on there and I'll just cut it off just like that, so it stops producing flowers and it starts working on blooming the tomatoes that are on here. And same over here, like there's this little cluster of flowers right there, so I'm just going to find the lowest cluster and cut right above it, just like that. And then we'll just tape that off so it stays up, and those will ripen for us this season. Isn't that such a big difference, you guys? So now I know for sure that all of the green ones that are on here are going to ripen off in time. So like I said, don't be afraid to do this. If you are, then just maybe try on one of your plants, but I promise you, like removing some of the lower leaves, kind of topping them off, and just cutting any branches that again are going kind of crazy and don't have any fruit on them. You don't need those. You want all of your energy to go into ripening the tomatoes that you do have. So anyways, let's go ahead and let me wash some of the tomatoes that we harvested, and then I'll show you a really quick recipe. Okay, so this recipe is super easy. All you're gonna need is your tomatoes, your favorite oil. I'm gonna be using white truffle oil, balsamic vinegar, salt, and burrata, which is basically like mozzarella but filled with cream, and it's so tasty. So anyways, let me zoom in so you guys can see how I like to cut my tomatoes and how I kind of like to lay everything out. So here we go. Okay, so what I like to do first is I'm gonna cut our tomatoes, and I like to cut them in kind of big slices because I want there to be substance when people are eating it. I don't want it to be thinly sliced. So I am going to cut them pretty thick, just like this. And I'll turn it around and do that as well. And then I just like to take that out as well, but I still use the center piece. And then you can just cut that one in half. We'll set those aside, but just look at how delicious that looks. Like yum. Okay, so and then I'll just kind of lay them down, kind of alternating the different varieties, just like that. I'll put like the nicer pieces on top. Now we're gonna season it. So I like to use Maldon salt, so it's just kind of coarser. It's just one that I like to use for these types of things. And I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. Just like so. And you can use fresh ground pepper. I don't particularly think this recipe needs it, so I just like to do that. Okay, and now for the burrata. So like I mentioned, burrata is just a mozzarella filled with cream, just like that. And you can find it anywhere, really. I think New Seasons, Whole Foods, Costco has it sometimes. And it's just so good. You don't have to cut it, you can just break it up with your hands. But what I like to do is just kind of cut them into just like little chunks, just like that. And then I will just lay it on top, just like so. And you can see that cream just kind of oozing out. And then what I like to do is just half some of our cherry tomatoes, and we'll just kind of use this to dress up our plate as well. And this is just such a fresh dish. I mean, it's like a caprese salad, but so much better. And it's so popular. It's just so fresh and summery and light. It's just the perfect little side dish or main dish. And then I'll just lay them out. Now, if you want to be really fancy, you can even put a little bit of fruit on here. These are just some of the little peaches that I have that I harvested from our little miniature peach tree. And I'll just kind of lay those out. Okay, now I'm going to add just a touch more salt, just to make sure our burrata is nice and seasoned. And then here comes the magic. So I love to use white truffle oil. It's my favorite oil. I love the flavor. And I love this brand as well. I'll link down their information down below. So what I like to do is just drizzle just like that. Perfect. And today I'm actually going to be using this raspberry balsamic vinegar, which again is by the same brand, and it's my favorite. And there you have it. Doesn't that just look so amazing? And of course we're going to have to do a taste test because, well, we have to. All right, let's taste this. It's so good, it makes me want to dance. Like, it's so good, you guys. Like, the salt is just bringing out the sugar, and the tomato and that truffle oil is just perfection. One more bite just to make sure. It is so good. That was so yummy. I can't wait to have more. But anyways, I hope you guys found that video helpful. I hope you learned something. You know, I think harvesting tomatoes and eating tomatoes right off of the vine is like the best thing during the summertime. There's just no comparison when you buy a tomato in a grocery store versus when you grow your own and you pick it off of the vine and you eat it right then and there. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but I have so many friends that I've turned on to tomatoes because before they never had them, but they've also never had ones right off of the vine like this. So anyways, it's just like the best thing. And I think like that's what summer is all about. That's what like living good is all about, is growing your own food, eating good, feeling good. And I just love it. I love tomato season. I hope you do too. I hope you learned something, and I hope you guys are enjoying your own tomatoes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.